You are listening to Co-Create Your Life. In this podcast, we delve deep into the law of attraction, dispel common misconceptions, and give our listeners the tools they need to build a magical, purposeful existence in their everyday lives. Reclaim the creative power you already possess and join us at co-creationcoaching.org/create. That's co-creationcoaching.org/create.
Welcome to Co-Create Your Life. This is episode 20, How Much Credit Can the Gods Take for Your Creations? I am Brandon Oliveris.
And I'm Christine Oliveris.
And I'm Justin Williams.
You sound very excited about that today.
Yeah, I succeeded today. So.
You're happy to be Justin Williams today.
I'm happy that I got the scholarship thing done.
Good job. So, today, once again, we're talking about the gods. I'm really excited about this topic. I think it's sort of something that we don't actually talk about too much. We really should. And other law of attraction teachers don't talk about it pretty much at all. So it's something that should be covered, I believe. So we're going to be talking about basically in your manifestations, in your creations, how much is yours and how much is thanks to the gods, especially to your, if you have personal deities, or you could say the universe, or whatever it is that you consider your higher power or powers. So before that, as always, our announcements. If you would like to see the show notes for this episode or read the transcript or leave a comment, you can go to co-creationcoaching.org/create020. We have a new digit today. It's episode number 20, which I'm excited about.
Time, right?
I know. And if you would like to ask a question for one of our episodes, you can go to co-creationcoaching.org/ask/create, and you can submit your question there. So again, we're talking about the gods and about how do you know what is up to you and what is up to them and how much help they've given you. And the reason, I'll tell you kind of an introduction to why the heck I'm talking about this. The reason I'm discussing this today is because I noticed something, and that was that, for a while, everyone who's been listening to these podcasts and reading my blog posts for a while knows that I was working with Hades, starting last October. And for a while I had moved away from that. For a while I thought perhaps that I had learned what I had to learn and it was time to move on. And so I moved on for a few months. And then I noticed differences, I guess. And I noticed, first of all, that energy was missing from my life. I definitely always noticed his energy, and that was missing. And I enjoyed working with him, obviously. So there was that. But also just that things weren't as smooth, I guess. I was still able to create, but things weren't as smooth as they were. Now, how much of that was down to my own resistance and how much was down to that change, that's what we're going to discuss, really. But I had just noticed, like I said, that, it wasn't as smooth as it was. So I, decided to start working with him again, and it's smoothed it out a lot more, and I've, his energy is back, we've worked together, and I've learned a lot more since then. And so, so that was something that I learned in the process. So that's what I'm going to talk about today is how does that work? How does all this come together? Because a lot of law of attraction teachers will basically tell you, it's all you, right? It's all you. You get to choose, and that's true. You get to choose what you want to create. You create it. It's all in your power, and that's it. And the universe will just follow, right? And so, is that necessarily true? How do the gods fit into all that? That's really what the question is. So, and Justin, I know you have some experience, not necessarily, well, you do with gods too, but your thing is angels.
Angels and saints and animal spirits, yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about. So, it's really a difficult thing because, again, it's so subtle. And I have been thinking about it when I did move away from working with Hades. It was a very subtle thing. It was just something I kind of noticed here and there. Okay, things aren't as smooth. Things aren't working out quite as well as they had been. My manifestations take a bit more energy. So what's going on? So, I've talked about why you might want to work with a god or gods before. I've had some posts about that, and I still do recommend that. And, in with people I've spoken to, people who do work with gods always say, I don't know why someone wouldn't want to work with one.
Exactly.
Yeah, or something.
You know what I mean? Right,
And
or something.
In my life, I've noticed, because before I kind of didn't take my faith as seriously, but ever since I've been going back to church, I promise this is not sounding like a testimony.
Christine's evangelizing.
No, I'm not.
It's a testimony.
I said it's not a testimony, but for me, ever since I started at the church doing the music, I realized something had been missing,
Right.
And, I mean, I love the Episcopal Church, but there's just something different about the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
Do I agree with everything? No. But, that's okay. Like, I feel like the important things I do, and I feel more complete than I ever did.
Right. That's awesome.
Wait, you said you're playing in an Episcopal church, right?
No,
I
she's playing at the
was.
Catholic Church.
I was, but then, that's a story in itself. No.
We've told you.
Yeah, I was at the Episcopal Church, and then I had to stop because I worked at one for a while because they needed an organist, and then they got an organist. And then the organist at the church I'm at now resigned. So, or not resigned, but but they're both Catholic churches.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought you were. So, because the reason why I asked is definitely when you find your, the rhythm of your,
Right.
the spiritual or the faith part of it, it works. And for me, it's been, I call angels and some saints and stuff like that because they're like overlook the prayer, spell, manifestation, whatever you want to call it, the ritual, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah.
They overlook it. Where with you, it's like you got to cover everything. Now, if it's just you in the universe, it will conspire with you, but in a very general way. It's not your bet. It's in a very general way, in a very balanced way, in a very general way. But with the angels or whatever saints, it doesn't take as much energy, and they're helping you. Whereas once you let go of the energy with the universe, it goes until it runs out. Where the saint or the deity or the angel will continue with it for longer, and will fix gaps that you just didn't see or anticipate.
Right. Yeah, like I said, it smooths it out, and I really had nothing to compare that to. I mean, okay. I guess coincidentally, the most successful period of my life started in October when I started working with my deity.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just because, at the time, I believed it was just because he taught me pretty much everything I know about the law of attraction, besides what I've picked up from different, like I have mentioned before, Hypnosis and the Law of Attraction from Joe Tabanella. That's been one of the big resources in my life. But Hades taught me everything I know, or led me to resources that taught me everything I know about the law of attraction. And so I thought, well, he taught me the tips, so I applied them. So of course I've been successful. But, and that was true. But when I wasn't working with him as much or at all, the energy just wasn't there. The smoothness just wasn't there. It was just a lot choppier.
And the thing is, you were with another deity, weren't you?
Yeah. And each one has a different connection. I still work with that one too. But each one has a different connection, has a different purpose in your life. And Hades is a lot more personable.
Yeah.
We'll get involved, we'll get, hands-on, we'll become hands-on a lot more than some of the other deities I've worked with.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, so that's, once you find your deity, and I've talked about how to do that before, but once you find that deity or deities for you, things will change because it's a relationship, you know. It's not just like they're going to help you and then, you know, you'll do things for them sometimes. It just depends, or I mean, it depends on what they might request of you. But, you know, but I didn't notice that smoothing out effect until it wasn't there. So that was really interesting. Just like what you said, Justin, that, you know, they can help you bridge that gap more. They can take it a lot further than you necessarily could on your own. Now, I do think obviously people can do this on their own. You know, can you create on your own? Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes, everyone creates moment by moment by moment by moment.
They also keep you afloat when you're not creating and when things aren't going right.
Right.
You know, they can keep you afloat. And then, you know, they have their own abilities, and then they have what they do for you. Sometimes what they do for you is a little different, you know.
Right.
You know, it's a little different. Like Archangel Raphael for me is more day-to-day traveling and perception and intelligence and stuff like that. And, you know, like very mundane, like everyday needs, but he doesn't heal for me. Yet I can use him to heal for other people. For me, it's a little different healer, either Jesus or Metatron or even Archangel Michael's are like,
right.
I mean, I kind of switch up as I go, but it's not as much Archangel Raphael for me. It just depends. You know, for me, Archangel Gabriel is like who channels a lot of information to me. Even other angels and archangels, she can make it more clear for me to hear. You know, when I'm doing like channeling and stuff. So it just kind of depends. And she's really good at like delivering messages and getting my point across in situations when I need to across the ethers. So it just depends on how it works for you, and then they bring things to you. So just kind of depends on how your relationship is with them, but they really help with manifestation in different ways.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, and that's why, like in the Catholic Church too, and you'll know this, Justin, there are different saints for different things.
Absolutely.
But some of them have two things. Like there's a patron for cooking and for like the same one, like Saint Anthony is for finding things and for there's one other, and I can't remember.
Miracles. He does a lot of stuff. Saint Anthony is the one he's the finding saint, and he's also the saint of miracles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anything.
Yeah. But see, I mean, there's always going to be for each god or saint or angel or whatever, a list, like an objective list that people put together of what that being will do.
Yeah.
But you don't know until you have a relationship with them.
What they're going to do for you.
It's different for everyone.
I don't like, I don't like when people will just call on a deity or a saint or an angel without a relationship as though it's like a magic trick. Like, you know, this happens with St. Anthony all the time, you know, people, and I guess in the Catholic Church you don't necessarily have relationships with saints, but people will not really bother with that saint just when they need to find something. Yeah. Oh, hey, St. Anthony, I never ever talked to you any other time, but
I need to find
something. Right now, I got to find something, so you're really cool. Right?
Yeah, you're really cool. Some of them will just answer your call. But some of them won't, and you do need to, the better your relationship is, you know, like I'm about to use St. Jude. I'm about to call on him. It's the first time I've done it. But, you know, when I was in the shop, I was, you know, they was like, here, you should have this basil oil. And I said, you know what? I was early today. I saw basil in St. Jude. So, let me get this St. Jude candle. So I'm going to use, you know, so it's use them for stuff and call on them.
And I disagree with you a little bit, Brandon, because because you don't always have a relationship with your doctor. You go to the doctor and that's it.
But that's not what a god is, though. A god is not a doctor. But a saint
is, though, because they're lower.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think, again, some of them will do this because they're good-natured, but a lot of them, I think...
You gotta watch doing it with some of them, now.
Right. Like, I mean, sure, some of them, like I said, some of them are good-natured and they'll just whatever.
Because it's not like you have time to have a relationship with so many saints.
No, you're right.
No, but you have to be selective. That's the point. Like, you don't... It's not just like a spell where, you just call on this, you say these words and it's done. Like, I think that cheapens the whole experience.
Sometimes if you need a saint truly to do something and you don't have a relationship, by all means, just go on ahead and call him.
Right.
But if you feel like that's the thing to do, you really should build a relationship with them if you can, because it's like a friend. And then somebody just compared it to me. It's like, it's going to be a lot easier to ask your friend to do something than somebody you don't really know. Now, the person you don't really know still may help you. They might help you.
Yeah.
But they might not. And they may help you in the wrong way, or they may help you in the wrong way.
Exactly.
Or they may just screw you over.
I just read, I know it's a fictional book, but it was just really interesting how they portrayed it. I read this series called The Demons of Ashlynn. And it was a really good series, by the way. It was so good. And anyway, but in the second and third book, I'm going to try not to give any spoilers away, but there are these saints and other avatars that were involved of this fictional god called Tiernan, and other gods too. And but they portrayed these saints as like the saints had followers, and the saints had connections to those followers, and they could flow mana to those followers. They could, they would hear the prayers.
Mana is energy, by the way.
Everyone knows what mana is.
Oh.
They could hear the prayers of their followers, and they could answer them. But a random saint who that doesn't have that person as a follower isn't really going to hear them. They might hear them, but it's not going to be as strong as a saint that a follower has actually built a relationship with. And the saints in the book actually knew, especially some of their more important followers or whatever, the followers that called on them more or whatever, they knew them by name, like what, where they were located, what kind of stuff they were dealing with. And I thought it was a really cool portrayal of how it worked. Same thing with gods, you know what I mean? Like, so that's a really good argument for, okay, you got to build a relationship, because otherwise, they're not going to really know you that well. And, not be able to help you even as much, or not be as inclined to necessarily. Yeah. So, I think that that's an important thing. Not to say you have to, like Justin said, not to say you have to every time, but, it's a two-way street, so to speak. It's a two-way relationship. And if you're always calling on aid, then that's sort of, again, some might not mind that, but it sort of takes them for granted in a way. You know what I mean? So
right.
I think it's really important to build that relationship, and as much as you can. And my point was that, you have these lists of, okay, this saint or this god or this angel is good for this thing, but you don't know what your relationship with them, how that will take shape until you actually formulate it, until you actually begin communicating with them and so on. Like with you, Justin, you were saying about Raphael doesn't help you with healing, but other stuff. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to know that unless you actually you begin a relationship. And like, for instance, me with Hades, Hades, there's not a lot of historical precedent because the Greeks didn't really do anything with Hades. They avoided him at all costs.
Yes, they did.
He's the death god, the god of the underworld. They didn't think it was evil or anything, but he was death. Why would you want to mess with him, right? Mm-hmm. But, I started feeling drawn towards him. And when I did research, I saw a lot of other people too, at least some others, who actually had a really good relationship with him and said he was really kind and gentle and whatnot. And then I began my own relationship, and it was totally different from what you would expect. Just, okay, god of the underworld, god of this and that, whatever. Like, you wouldn't expect the kind of energy that I actually experienced once I began. Now, if someone else reached out to him, he might be totally different. Mm-hmm.
Might not, right. And he may not like you. It just
right, exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you know what I mean?
And you'll know. It's not like they'll do anything bad, but you'll just feel a clash of energy.
They just won't help you.
Either you won't be able to make that link.
Yeah.
I've had that before, where I reach out to a god and it's like,
usually this won't help you. If you mess around with them too much, they might. But usually you will know immediately, because I know the Orishas told me no. I remember that specifically. Right. I got that note from Oshun. I know why. I learned why a few years later. Yeah. But
it might just not be time either.
Well, and I didn't call on Legba to open the crossroads. See, I didn't know that.
Right,
See,
right.
If I had messed around with Oshun, after doing something like that and didn't understand, it would not have been good. So I mean, you don't, so you got to know. That's why it's important to do your research and to, to kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, people always say, pray to St. Lucy, to me. They'll tell me. And I don't feel a connection with her at all.
Right.
I
don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't really tried. But every time I would, it's like, I don't know what I feel.
Right. But, these beings have to be, and I think this is what some people are missing, they have to be real beings to you, not just archetypes, not just, some people are what you would call soft polytheists, or I don't know what an equivalent term would be for saints or angels, but they see their beings of whatever gods or angels or saints as archetypes or ideas or forces, and they don't really give them respect, or necessarily the respect that I believe they deserve. That's that's your thing. To me, I think you should see them as real beings.
They are.
So what is the best way then to have a relationship instead of just saying, please help me, please help me, please help me? Like,
reach out.
Reach out. Meditation, for example. I've got candles with St. Jude on them.
Or go ahead.
I've got a St. Lucy pendant. I'm going to actually put in the moonlight that's on a chain with a black tourmaline and orgone pendant. Yeah. I've got, it's statues, it's candles, it's prayers, it's calling them in meditation, it's speaking, it's summoning them, speaking to them, not summoning them, speaking to them, like asking them to come and talk to you while you're meditating, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would start honestly with meditation or some sort of contemplative type thing, practice, and invite them to come to you and say, if you're interested in connecting with me, please come. Make it a request, make the question, not a demand, and wait to feel their energy. You have to, as always, with anything with magic, with the law of attraction, or any type of spirituality, you have to feel the energy. And you have to be able to sense the energy.
Do your research.
Do your research.
And
obviously.
Also put out some of their symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, after I started my relationship with Hades, I got a nice statue of him. I don't do too much with the statue, but I'll when I'm passing or something, sometimes I'll just acknowledge it. Something like that. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but feel the energy, connect with it, see what it feels like. And then you can start asking different things and see what they help you with, see what they don't. So that's what I would do to establish a relationship. But it's really, like I said, it's a relationship. It's not just a one-way thing. And it's important to do that. It's important to see them as real beings, as real beings that have interests that may or may not want to help you. They're not required to help you.
And I think the reason Catholics don't really is they ask them to intercede. So they ask the saint to intercede for you to God.
Sure, but if someone calls me up and is like, hey, would you intercede for me? Would you pray for me or something? Which no one would ask me because it's kind of weird. But if someone were to, and I didn't know that person at all, and they were asking me about an issue I really don't care about, I'd think,
And that's exactly what a saint will do.
Right.
And it's just as important to build a relationship with a saint as with a deity. The one caveat being saints are supposed to sort of pray for you because, they pray technically for the Catholic Church.
Right.
And when they, Catholic really means united. So, you pray, they're kind of supposed to pray for mankind in a way. Not totally like that, but I'm kind of giving a very basic, rough example.
Yeah.
Because they're serving God. So some saints, pray for only certain groups of people and some, but they help intercede and pray for you to the Creator or to God himself or herself. You see what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So sometimes you can sort of get away with it because like a prayer circle here on earth, maybe you don't know the person you're praying for, but I'm telling you, you will get better results.
It'll be more potent
if you build a relationship because he will go to bat for you more.
And you have a point because a lot of people too, I've heard, my Catholic friends say, I have a devotion to Saint so-and-so.
Right.
And they'll really pray to that saint and spend time with that saint, whatever. So it is true that, Saint Anthony, I don't know. I feel like he's very good-natured and very funny. I don't know. I don't think he'd really care. But I know people that have real devotions to him, like pray and all this stuff.
And they'll give to the poor and stuff like that. Like, for example, St. Jude likes you to give to and donate to St. Jude's Hospital. And St. Expedite wants you to spread his name around and give him a coin balanced, and leave him some pound cake and some water at the crossroads, stuff like that. And certain deities want you to do certain things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Certain things, I don't know what Hades wants.
I've asked him, and he's never told me. Never, not once. So I still don't know. I figure he'll request it eventually if he wants it, but he's never...
Maybe you're just doing it.
He's never told me. I know. He's never told...
I just want you, Brandon.
I want your soul.
I just want you. Uh-oh.
Maybe I accidentally sold my soul. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I've asked her, and he's never. I figure, well, if he wants something, he'll tell me. I've literally said, you've done a lot for me. What do you want? And I've tried to give I tried to do research on what kind of offerings would be appropriate, and it just didn't feel.
They didn't feel right.
And it just. All right, look, you tell me if you want something, and I've never gotten backlash or anything for not doing something, and deities will do that if you don't.
Yes,
you don't hold up your end of the bargain.
Will, especially the originals.
They will. Yeah,
and certain saints. Oh,
and he
God.
hasn't done that, so I think. So anyway, getting to the main point of okay, what do they help you with? How much of that is them? How much of that is you? And again, as we said, I think it depends on the deity, obviously. But I think it's just a matter of, again, on your own, you can definitely do it. You are a creator. You are creating moment by moment. I don't want anyone to think, because I don't like the traditional religious view that we're totally beholden to God and we can't do anything besides God's power, blah, 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 blah. That's false.
That's
okay?
false, yeah.
That's false. We are creators. We have immense power. We have the same power that the gods have, that the universe has.
Mm-hmm.
We have the same power. It's just, it's not as awakened, I'll say. It's not, as fully there. Now, for some it is, if you've really, really attuned to that and really awakened that, and that's why there are masters, ascended masters, and so on. But we have that same power. So don't let anyone ever tell you we don't have that power. We absolutely do have that power, but we can use a boost.
Mm-hmm.
We can use help. We can use aid. And that's not giving up your power. It's just adding on to it. It's just adding on to it. So, and I've mentioned this before, I think maybe in the psychic class, I don't remember. But, it's like when you work with deities and so on, it's just like networking in a way. And I hate that word because it brings up so many negative connotations. But, it's sort of like networking, like building a group of friends or of associates or of whatever that will help you when you need it, that can, that has been there and knows how to help you. Like, for instance, I signed up for business coaching. Some of you know this. I signed up for business coaching recently to help to grow co-creation coaching. And so this person is someone who's going to help me to share her experience to allow me to grow my business, right? Mm-hmm. That's sort of what I mean. Like, when you work with the right deities, they will help you in a way that they know how. Now, they're not, again, this is another kind of anti-religious idea. They're not omniscient. Okay, they're not omniscient. But they have a lot more knowledge than we do. Okay? They have a ton of knowledge, but they don't have all knowledge or anything.
They know how to take theirs and apply it to many situations.
Exactly.
And then there's a point where they're just going to be like, I will apply it, but
Yep.
now you need to go do something else.
But can't some of them tell you what'll happen in the future, though, too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So isn't that omniscient then?
No.
Like,
No,
no.
They don't know
I
everything.
mean, they can,
Yeah, and they could be wrong because things can change.
things can change.
If you change it.
Right, things can change.
Yeah, or if it just gets changed somebody else doing something strange, and then all of a sudden you have to adjust. They could be wrong.
Right.
But
So,
they
yeah.
have a better chance of predicting it than you do.
Right.
Much better, right? They have a much wider, broader perspective
Than you do.
than you do. They like you see a single tree and they see the whole forest.
Uh-huh.
You know, they can see the path ahead, but they can't see everything. Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends. So they're not omniscient, but they
And, they might see everything on this path, in this reality, but if you shift a little bit, they might only got part of it, or you got, half of it.
exactly.
I mean, it just depends.
Right. So, it's they can definitely help you a lot. So when you're creating, again, I mean, I do recommend having some kind of relationship with some deity or more. You can,
They'll protect you too.
you can choose. Yeah, they'll protect you. But I do recommend having a relationship with at least one or more. And, they will help you with your manifestations in several ways. They can give advice, which that's a ton of what Hades has done for me, giving advice. I will literally say, okay, tell me what I need to do to make this work. Okay, and pretty soon I'll have an idea of, what I have to do. They will extend, your energy, so to speak, so that it goes farther, like you said, Justin, earlier, so you can bridge that gap more easily.
Mm-hmm.
They can at least a bit go against your vibrations so that even if you're not quite there yet, they can push things along.
Yep.
And they can just give you random gifts, I guess, your random experiences.
Break the curve, your random gifts, random experiences. They can help you break the curve.
Right.
They can do things outside of all of the law of attraction stuff we've discussed.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
They can, instead of you taking I'm going to go to the next level. They can make sure that the level you're on gives you all the abundance you can get on that level, like random gifts.
Exactly, right.
Stuff that you did not anticipate, they can do. They can hit home runs for you. Drop something in your lap, and it's like, oh, wow, how did that happen? I mean, you don't even know how it happened half the time.
And that's usually one of the biggest indicators that it was from one of them. Because I will have this happen all the time and I just had something like this last week, and I don't remember what it was now. It was towards the end of last week, and I just don't remember. But, they will sometimes just have an awesome experience happen to you, or, just give you random things like that, random experiences, random gifts, whatever, that you just know didn't come from you. Not entirely, at least.
Yeah.
It's just something that comes into your reality. It's sort of a nice little bonus. And it's really cool when it happens.
It wasn't like getting a certain amount of money you wanted, right?
Or another thing they can do is, really move things along in bursts, like what's happened to me with Archangel Raziel. Really move some stuff along, and you're like not even sure how it really happened. It almost feels surreal. Like, how did we just get? Okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Did I even use law of attraction manifest? I guess I did, but I don't. I guess
exactly.
I did. And
right.
Got to be hard put to tell you exactly what happened.
Right. That's exactly it. It's like I didn't really focus on this. I just didn't really, it just.
That's how my jobs happened.
Right.
They just fell into my lap.
So Christine reminded me of an experience I had last week. I don't think this is the thing I was thinking of, but it's a good example, where I was trying to manifest $200 extra than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so I thought at first it had been a close miss, I guess, because I got 2 extra clients, one for 125 and one for 70, so that's 195. And so I was writing to the list about my experience, and I was saying, I had this goal of $200, and it was just for this week. By the end of this week, and I got 195, so it was really close. And then I sent it, I'm like, wait, Christine got $10. Just out of the blue, and it didn't even cross my mind. And when I realized that, I sent the email back, I just kind of heard, like, I could have heard Hades, like, chuckling. Like, it was really there all the time. It just kind of slid in, And that's the kind of thing, it's like, just so subtle. Yeah, you actually did reach it.
You did do it, actually.
You actually did do it. You didn't realize it. So that kind of thing. It's just so funny. But, it's awesome to have that kind of relationship. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things. I mean, we've only covered the basics. It's so hard to really cover more because it's so personal. But that's really the kind of thing that will happen, when you start working with someone specific. And, again, yes, you can do it on your own. But it's
a lot more work.
You can do so much. You can go so much further when you have assistance. Just like with, like I said, a coach or something. Like they can push you a lot farther than you could go. You could probably do it on your own, maybe. But someone who has experience can help you a lot more, and that's so much more. That's even more true with a deity. So that's, I mean. It's not, like I said, it's not giving up power. It's just, I guess, supplementing the power that you do have. It's all your power. It really is. But, and they will help you to have access to even more of that power as time goes on. That's what happened to me.
Angels just want a good thank you and you to put in the effort. They also want you to make sure that the one thing is you need to ask them exactly what they want you to do to connect with them. Right. And then, thank you at the end of it, put in the effort and they'll help you out. But the thing about them, the caveat to them is they will not help you, unless you ask them or you are in serious jeopardy and you are in serious jeopardy when it's kind of off your life lessons path.
Right.
And they'll pull you back in there or, other than that, so if you're like in a car accident, you're going to die, you're not supposed to. It might save you then. But other than that, angels will not help unless you ask. Right. Now, if you might ask and they might hear you and then just do it. But for the most part, you got to ask them and build a relationship. And then if you do, they'll keep helping you. But it's
right. Whereas like the deities, by and large, you do have to build a relationship, but they will just surprise you sometimes.
Yeah, they'll surprise you. They'll surprise you.
Which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, they'll surprise you. With archangels and angels, you got to kind of ask them to keep surprising you because they don't want to interfere, which is good. Right. Sometimes, you don't. That's just what they do. So, one's not better than the other. Just depends on what you want or need. But I mean, what you connect with. It's always about what you connect with the most, not what you think is the best.
Right.
And animal spirits just want you to sort of honor them, stuff like that. So it depends.
Exactly. Each one's different.
Yeah, each one's different.
Yeah. So I hope that clarifies things. I mean, I know there are a lot of people out there who prefer to do things more traditionally and just not even bother with that kind of stuff. But I hope for those who are open-minded to finding a deity and working with them and growing the relationship, or those who already have that kind of relationship and might wonder how much of this is really me. I hope we were able to answer that a bit. I mean, it comes down to intuition, I guess. You're not really going to be able to tell, okay, it was 95% me and 5% my deity, or 75%.
It doesn't really matter.
Right? It doesn't really matter. It's just having that backup and knowing that it's there is really the point. You know what I mean? And that's really what it's all about. And trust me, it does make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
It does make a difference. It makes a total difference. And it's really awesome when you have someone that you enjoy working with. Right. It's really, really nice. So hopefully that helps everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Once again, if you would like to see the show notes or read the transcript or leave a comment, which we always enjoy, you can go to cocreationcoaching.org/create020. And if you would like to subscribe to us on iTunes or rate or review our podcast, you can go to cocreationcoaching.org/create-iTunes, and that will redirect you to our iTunes page. So I hope that everyone enjoyed this discussion, and we will be back for another podcast in probably 2 weeks. So I hope everyone has a great week. I am Brandon Oliveris.
And I'm Christine Oliveris.
And I'm Justin Williams.
Anything is possible.